What's up, Brigade? How are you? Welcome into a Monday morning episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. If you're on the East Coast, well, it's afternoon for you guys. Thank you for being here. My name is Matt Peralt. We are live on our YouTube page at Boston versus the Book. That's the same on X, Twitter, replayed on Sports Grid Television, and wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. We have a big show today for you guys. Opening line, my 5 favorite things from the weekend. Oh my gosh, what a weekend. Fitzy, WEEI's own, is joining us today on the program. We taped it earlier, so it's on a little bit of a issue with my microphone. You'll hear that later. But Fitzy joining. We're talking breaking news. Oh, it's victory lap time for me. Brian Daboll, get out. Fired. See ya. Gone. Fired as the head coach of the New York Giants. Moments ago, offensive coordinator is going to be taking over for that situation in New York. But this is why I bet the under on the Giants win total. Man, this summer, can we go back and replay the tape? Can we go back and talk about the number of people who told me I was crazy? Remember, I said this all summer, that Brian Daboll was going to be fired as the head coach of the New York Giants. He was not going to make it to Thanksgiving. Last time I checked, it is not even Thanksgiving. It is the 10th of November. This was predictable. I'm not saying anything outlandish or crazy when I was predicting it, because the team is built horrifically. And they have been leading 3 different times by 10 points or more on the road this year, and they have lost all 3 games. I thought they were going to fire him after the loss to the Broncos. That's when I thought the firing was going to come down. Instead, they just waited till the loss to the Bears, and now they've gone ahead and made the move where he is out. Jackson Dart has been evaluated for a concussion 4 separate times this season so far. He's not going to make it through the year either. So he's probably going to be out for a bit after suffering a concussion in the last game. And you're going to be stuck with Russell Wilson, who you started the year with, and everything went sideways really fast and really poorly. So, sorry. That's where we are. See you later. Bye-bye. See you later. Do they win 2 more games the rest of the year? That would be my question. I have the under 5.5 on the Giants. I feel pretty good about that. You don't fire Brian Daboll because you want to win. You fire him because you want to tank for next year, right? So they'll get Malik Neighbors back. They'll get Cam Scatteraboo back. They'll have another year of Jackson Dart, sophomore season for Jackson Dart. So, and whoever the new coach is, that's a lot to work with from an offensive standpoint. You have some some very quality defensive players, obviously. So they've got to, if I'm a head coach and I'm looking at jobs, 1, it's New York. Okay, so that's a great place to go and coach. 2, the division is not impossible. Washington's up and down, Dallas up and down. The Eagles are the defending champs, but, it goes in cycles in that division. I like that job. I think if I'm going to be a hot coaching candidate looking around for head coaching positions in the offseason, the Giants are a very attractive job, and they have a lot of pieces. It's just Brian Daboll thought he was going to be able to keep the magic with what he did with Josh Allen, and he was going to be able to continue it in New York, and it simply didn't happen. So, breaking news out of the gate. Brian Daboll is fired as the head coach of the New York Giants. And Tyrone, you have no idea. I have kept my mouth shut. I have been quiet. I have not pounded my chest. I have not yelled and screamed at all about what these Patriots are doing at 8-2. I bet against them. I faded them. But that win, it's kind of part of my 5 favorite things of the weekend, but it actually isn't. The win itself is not actually part of my 5 favorite things from the weekend, because there's some really, really good things that happened this weekend. Opening line presented by Huel. Opening line presented by Huel, my 5 favorite moments from the weekend. Guys, once again, our friends at Huel, the presenting sponsor of the opening line. If you have not checked these guys out, I would highly recommend you go and do so. What does a busy morning look like for you guys? Are you skipping breakfast? Are you skipping meals? This is how I combat that. I use the Black Edition protein powder shakes. They are meals, 2 flavors it comes in, chocolate, vanilla. You can do a 200 calorie or a 400 calorie option. It's a healthy way to eat fast with 40 grams of plant-based protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no artificial sweeteners. It's gluten-free. It's vegan. It's easy, ready to go meals for under $5. Huel makes it makes eating healthy simple. They just launched in Target nationwide. Try Huel today with 15% off your first purchase with a minimum order of $75. New customers can use the code BVB at www.huel.com/BVB. That's huel.com/BVB. Huel, making healthy eating simple. Well, if you were kind of under a rock this weekend, I got you covered because there's some pretty wild things that happened. So first and foremost, it's snowing in Ohio today. So welcome to winter if you're in Ohio. But the Jets have 2 wins on the year. The Jets have now beaten the Bengals and the Browns. After the win over the Browns over the weekend, I don't know why the Jets are talking, but the Jets are talking. Like the Jets are making fun of the state of Ohio. Like, you're the New York Jets. What are you doing? Like, what is this? Why are you trolling the state of Ohio? You're the Jets. Do you understand that? Like, I don't understand. I guess I don't understand. Where is this coming from? Well, I guess it's coming from the win, right? But here's how improbable that win was yesterday. Since 1950, teams had been 225-0. 225-0. When holding opponents to 175 or fewer yards and not turning the football over. The Browns were the first team ever, since 1950, so I'll say ever, to lose a game in which they were doing that to the Jets. 27-20 loss to the New York Jets. How do you accomplish that? I have no idea. But that's the Jets, that's the Browns, and that's a football game that if you spent a lot of time watching that game, bless you. We have the new bad beat of the year involving the Jags and the Texans. Number 4 for my 5 favorite things that happened over the weekend. Our poor guy, Emerson Latzia. I mean, my God. The Jags blow a 19-point lead in the second half. Houston was -1.5 at close for this game. And Houston, I mean, they were done. They were dead. They were dusted. They were not going to be able to win this football game. They went from a 98.4% win probability for the Jaguars to a loss. How? Well, Davis Mills rallied. He played his tail off in the second half. And then Davis Mills ran the ball in for a 30-29 lead with about under a minute to go. Jaguars had the football back. Trevor Lawrence on the play on your screen right now, as he is rolling to his left, he gets hit. He fumbles the football up into the air. It's then picked up by an offensive lineman and returned for a touchdown that meant nothing to anyone except those who were involved with the 1.5 point side. If you had laid 1.5, you were doing a victory lap. You were stunned that you covered. If you had taken 1.5 and you're watching this going, okay, Trevor, just run the clock out, Trevor. Trevor, lose the game by 1, Trevor. Don't do it, Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence went and did it. Trevor Lawrence gets intercepted. It's returned for a touchdown, and they lose the game 36-29. For good measure, they don't kick the extra point because they don't need it. If you had teased the Jaguars from +1.5 up to 7.5, you did cover. You got a miracle cover. But that was one of the worst beats you will ever suffer through. Like, that is just brutal. Brendan's asking, when are we going to say that Lawrence just isn't that dude? I think everyone's been saying that already, at least in Jacksonville. I mean, I follow Emerson on social media, so Emerson's been saying it for a long time. I mean, it's one of his favorite. It's not a gift, but it's a picture where it's a picture of Taylor Swift in a Jags uniform, and basically saying like Trevor Lawrence is Taylor Swift. Like he's just not the guy. I don't think he's the guy. I'm not sure they think he's the guy either. Dom says, as a Jags fan, he is not the guy. Meme. Thank you, Mikey. Also, it was a meme. That's what I'm thinking of. Not a GIF, a meme showing my 48-year-old age. He's not the guy. He's just not the guy. And that's a horrible performance by the Jaguars. That's a huge win for the Texans. But right now, that's the leader in the clubhouse for the worst beat of the season. In 2025, if you had taken the +1.5 on the Jaguars, that is awful. That is awful. Chicago John says he's not the guy. I would agree. He's not the guy by any means. Not even close right now. Number 3. Honestly, have you ever seen what happened at the end of the Patriots game against the Jags? Have you ever seen what Travion Henderson did? Because I'm not sure I've ever seen what Travion Henderson did. In case you guys don't remember or weren't watching this, Travion Henderson is running the ball 10 yards ahead of the nearest defender. On your screen, you can see Travion Henderson on the left side. He's looking to his right. Now, he's not looking backwards to the defenders. He's looking at the coaching staff for the Patriots. The Patriots at the time are up by 5. All Henderson has to do is run out of bounds. Fall down, not run out of bounds. Fall down and let the clock run. And the Patriots will take 3 knees and the game is over. And they win the game 21-16. Instead, Henderson looks at the coaching staff, and clearly he is told by the coaching staff, go score. Go ahead. Go to the house. You can score. It was not the right play. It almost came back to burn the Patriots because the onside kick was recovered by Stephon Diggs. We'll talk about that more with Fitzy here in a little bit. But that play where he's looking to the sidelines, that's how far ahead he was. That's how far of a margin. That's how much big of a lead Travion Henderson had on the nearest Bucs defender that he had time to look at the Patriots coaching staff and say, hey, guys, can I score? And the coaching staff said, yeah, go ahead, kid, score. And they let him score. Wild, because it almost burned the Patriots. If they had failed to recover the onside kick and it went to the Bucs, and the Bucs had rallied in incredible fashion to win that football game and beat the Patriots, that's our topic today. Our topic today is the Patriots telling Travion Henderson to score and then costing them the game, because the right play was what Drake Maye was telling Travion Henderson to do, but he was behind him. Maye was running down the field, yelling at Henderson to go down. There's video of Drake Maye going, go down. And he didn't. He scored. So, that was almost a disaster for the Patriots. But, yeah. Would they would have still needed a first down? Chef, you sure? I mean, but which is more probable? Getting a first down or having to stop the Bucs on offense, who went all the way down the field and scored a touchdown in 30 seconds. So you just don't give the team you're playing any life. I would have rather have seen, I thought they were out of timeouts. They according to Chef Benny, they had 2 timeouts. I thought they were out of timeouts. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor did the same thing a few years ago. He should have gone down. He should have gone down. The right play was to go down. What are you doing? Don't score. But he scored, and then it created the overhit because of it. And then the team total for the Bucs after that touchdown, I believe, team total for the Bucs hit because of it. So there was a lot of gambling implications to that moment, to that play. The smarter play would have been just to go down and then run the clock. And the Patriots not give the ball back at all to Tampa. Instead, they gave the Bucs life because that touchdown got scored, and then the onside kick, and then Stephon Diggs got lit up. He went up high, grabbed the ball, and he got cracked by the Bucs. And yet he still hung on to the football, which was huge. But I don't really like Diggs taking shots like that when it wasn't necessary. But that was big. Patriots win that football game. But that wasn't the only thing that was crazy as part of that game. This would have to be with the sound on. If you were watching the game with the sound off, you did not hear Tony Romo during the broadcast. But I am 48 years old. And when I was in college, there is a saying that obviously Tony Romo has a very different opinion on, because when I hear DTF, I do not hear details, toughness, and they finish. That is according to Tony Romo during the broadcast, in which he was actually kind of giggling afterwards because he had realized what he said. And I don't know if he was trying to troll the country or just trying to troll Jim Nantz by saying the Patriots are DTF. Details, toughness, and they finish. Now, that last word, that kind of figures into the saying that I know what DTF stands for, but down to bleep is that is what that means. Okay, Tony? I don't think either you don't know or you did know, right? It's like the casino line. Either you're too dumb or you're in on it. One of the two. But either way, you're out. Like, what are you doing with that comment, Tony Romo? Like, seriously, dude? Like, you actually said that? I mean, I wish I was going to play the audio of it, but I didn't know how much in trouble I would get into it because I'm playing audio here. My number one thing is all audio. So I didn't know how much trouble I wanted to get into today because I might get in a lot of trouble playing my number one favorite thing of the weekend. I might get in trouble for it, but I don't care. So I was like, let's not tempt fate here. I'm not going to play the Romo clip as well. I'll just go ahead and put the actual saying and what he said, which is exactly what he said. Tony Romo said, the Patriots are DTF. Details, toughness, and they finish. Yep. And everybody stopped and went, wait, what did he say? Hold on, Tony. The Patriots are DTF? Like, that is something my friends and I would say all the time at bars at like 1 a.m. Like, hey, she's DTF. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, Tony, that is not what you think it means, okay? Just FYI, that is not what that means. Like, and I mean, he's married. Maybe his wife will pull him aside tomorrow, this morning, whatever, and say, hey, Tony, what are you doing? What else could it mean? CBW? I don't know. But, yeah. What in the name of Dave Sherapan are you doing? Right? Like, this is a Dave topic. Like, this is down to Fiesta. Sure. Yes. Yeah. Down to Fiesta. That's what that is. Yes. Dave would have listening glasses on. There's no debate on this. Because I would say, hey, Dave, do you know what DTF stands for? He'd be like, no, what's it mean? Oh boy. It rhymes with luck. That's what that's what it means. Yep. Dave would have no idea. It's very true. He would have had no idea on this. Oh, Eric, you're just bent, huh? You're just bent because you predicted the sophomore slump. I thought you were done talking trash, Eric. Eric, you said in the chat, specifically you said that you were done talking trash about the Patriots because the sophomore slump. Do you know who's currently the odds-on favorite to win the MVP? That would be the quarterback that you said was going to have a sophomore slump, that Drake Maye, the bubble was going to burst, right? You could talk about the Patriots and their schedule, because I have, but here's the problem. 8-2 is 8-2. If the Patriots only lose 4 games all year, that's a 13-4 season. And those 2 losses are a little bit on the questionable side, right? The Ravens are probably one of them, right? Probably lose to Baltimore. But, sprinkle another loss somewhere in there, but there's no guarantee that happens. Patriots could run the table, and I don't think they wind up, 15-2, but 14-3 is not crazy given the schedule. Like, look at the schedule. The schedule is an absolute joke. There is absolutely no debate. The joke is the schedule. But you can only play, Chef Benny, you can only play who is on your schedule. And that's what the Patriots got. They got a last place schedule with an MVP quarterback and a hell of an offensive coordinator. An absolute Hall of Fame offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels. What a job he is doing. I mean, look at Kyle Williams with a 72-yard touchdown reception, the second-round pick who had done nothing. He had 2 catches before that play for the Patriots. Home run hitter. Travion Henderson looked skittish and over his skis for most of the year. And then yesterday, he's running with authority. He's catching passes. He's breaking through the line. He's galloping through the secondary. He had a huge game. That's a second-year quarterback, a first-year running back, and a first-year wide receiver doing that to the Bucs. Youth being served. And finally, my number one favorite thing for the weekend. I have no idea if I'm allowed to play this stuff or not, but we're playing it because if you did not watch Penn State in Indiana, if you did not hear the end of that game, if you did not hear Gus Johnson losing his mind with one of the most hysterically funny calls, unintentionally a riot, losing his mind like everyone else in America, my favorite thing of the weekend.
Mendoza in trouble. It's out. Touchdown. Wow. Oh, Cooper. Unbelievable. Give him the Heisman Trophy now.
I mean, if you don't like sports, I don't know what you do with your life. If you don't get joy watching that, listening to that play in that moment with Indiana driving on a Penn State team that had never lost at home ever to Indiana. Mendoza throws the ball up. He's getting drilled in the process. The ball gets thrown up. Cooper catches the football and he comes down and somehow he gets a foot in and it doesn't touch anything but green grass. Like he had I'm less than an inch to spare. I mean, how do you not love this? Yeah, if it might happen, we might get banned for that. I don't care. I got more to get banned for it. But like, if you don't smile listening to this, I don't know how you are doing other things on a Saturday than watching football. Like you don't care about anything to do with sports. Because if you're a sports fan, these are the moments you live for.
Mendoza in trouble. It's out. Touchdown. Wow. Oh, Cooper. Unbelievable. Give him the Heisman Trophy now.
So I thought, could that call work for anything? Like, you can't understand him. Like, if you just listen to the audio of that, like if you're just listening to the podcast and all you're hearing is Gus Johnson, like I'm playing a video that has the words on the screen so you actually can see what Gus Johnson is saying because he's just yelling. Like he's not making any sense. He's just screaming. He loses his voice. He loses his mind. So I thought, could that call work for anything? Could it work for baseball? I mean, like, how about Ohtani?
It's out! Touchdown! Wow! Oh, Cooper! Unbelievable! Give him the Heisman Trophy now!
I mean, it works, right? That works. It works for baseball. You don't know what he's saying. It doesn't matter. The ball's out, right? How about basketball? Can it work for basketball?
Oh, it's out! Touchdown! Wow! Oh, Cooper! Unbelievable! Give him the Heisman Trophy now!
It works for everything. It just works. It works for baseball. It works for football. It works for basketball. Like it just doesn't matter. Like that call is by far my favorite thing of the weekend. The screeching, the overall emotional outburst of a broadcaster who doesn't know what to say, doesn't know how to call it. Like we've had some great Gus Johnson moments. Like Gus Johnson is one of the best broadcasters ever, in my opinion, from an emotional standpoint. And if you like emotion like I do, you have to love Gus Johnson. But that's insane. I mean, it's just, it works for everything. It works for absolutely any sport you want to make it work.
It's out! Touchdown! Give him the Heisman Trophy now.
Give Ohtani all the Heismans. Give him everything. MVP, Heisman Trophy. Give it all. Absolutely works. So good. So good on so many levels. What also is so good is the Patriots win. Whenever we have a win like that, we have to go talk to our guy Fitzy. I taped this earlier this morning. I do apologize for my microphone because it was early. I didn't realize that my microphone was hooked up to the computer, not the mic. My apologies. But Fitzy, WEEI, on what is going on right now for Drake Maye being the MVP leader. Odds-on favorite to win the MVP is Drake Maye.
When it's Patriots time, we go to our guy Fitzy. We're going to Boston. Back on the Bostonian versus the book. What's up, my friend? Good to see you.
My friend, I'm coming to you today from the land of the joyful, the celebratory, and I call this a very bullish time in my life. You see, because right now, if you're a fan of the New England Patriots, then everything is completely unbelievable that they've been able to pull out of the 4-13 double tailspin of the past two seasons and now have as many wins this year as they did those two seasons, sitting at 8-2 atop the AFC East, tied for the lead in the AFC and a Super Bowl contender. I think this has made everyone in New England and beyond very agreeable that the Patriots are back and that the national nightmare is revisiting everyone after all of 4 years. And thank you, everyone, for your patience and suffering during that miserable walk through the desert. I hate to say it now, but everyone is also starting to understand, Matt, that Drake Maye is inevitable. No matter who you put on him, no matter how many Vita Veas you try to stuff in his face, he finds a way. He is, as Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park, life finds a way. Well, you know what? So does friggin' Drake Maye, everybody. No matter where you put him on the road, no matter what the point spread is, the kid gets the job done. And now, unfortunately, everyone, we, the worst of all mankind, are becoming insufferable again because, boy, do we love the Patriots. And are we going to rub it in everyone's face for the borderline half decade that we had to go through it? We almost got back there a couple of years ago, but then Bill Belichick thought Mac Jones was getting too big for his britches. So for Christmas, he got him a defensive coordinator as an offensive coordinator. And now, if the Patriots win the AFC East and take back their crown from those hot sauce cinnamon whiskey covered knuckleheads in Western New York, which should just be flooded out and turned into a hydroelectric plant in the first place. If they actually run the AFC, if they go to the AFC Championship, and God forbid they go to the Super Bowl in Santa Clara, we will become unbearable. And you know what? I apologize for none of it.
No, I'm with you. Here's the interesting piece for all of this, and I'm sure you guys on EEI are going to cover all of this because the national media, and I'm now part of it because I picked against the Patriots. I bet against the Patriots. I said the schedule. Yeah, I did. I bet the Bucks. The schedule. And I looked at the wins on the road. They were 4-0 on the road going into that game yesterday. They won over Buffalo, but let's be frank, the rest of the schedule is incredibly weak. I don't care about the losses to the Steelers and to the Raiders because I can justify that by the way the team played. The loss to the Steelers with 5 turnovers and 2 fumbles at the goal line, that should have been a W. So that was just a team beating themselves. But what do you make of the team at 8-2 and winning 7 games in a row and being as good on the road as anybody in the NFL, which obviously winning on the road anywhere is difficult, any sport, but in the NFL, extremely difficult. Like they're young, but are they one of the top 5 teams in football?
How can you say that they're not one of the top 5 teams in football at this point? I mean, you went on the road and you beat your new nemesis, the team that took the title from you 5 years ago and has the store brand version. Like I've always said that, like, if Drake Maye has the best sophomore season possible, then he's going to be like the Market Basket or like, the Shaw's version of Josh Allen. Like he's grocery store Josh Allen. If he can play at 75 to 80% of his capacity, we'll understand why Brian Daboll was salivating over him a couple of years ago in the pre-draft process. And we'll know that the Patriots have a dude for themselves set for the next 10 plus years, but he's playing light years beyond anyone's expectations possibly could have been for him. So he beats Josh Allen on the road And that's the night that he developed his chemistry and connection with Steph Diggs. They've taken care of all comers in every manner of fashion, whether it's with the run game, mostly on the gorgeous arm of Drake Maye. I maintain that nobody's doing anything better in the NFL right now than Drake Maye is throwing the deep ball. It's unprecedented. It's unbelievable. And he's doing it with guys that might not even be a number 3 or a number 4 receiver on half of the rest of the teams in the NFL. And my big thing going into the Tampa Bay game was I had 3 questions lined up for the Pats. Did they belong on the same field as another possible Super Bowl contender? Could Drake Maye keep up with another MVP candidate in Baker Mayfield? And number 3, were the Patriots just a product of their schedule, or were they an honest-to-God Super Bowl contender who was going to win 7 straight games and prove to the rest of the world that they were more than just, well, somebody who took care of inadequate competition? And the answers were yes, hell yes, and F yes. And I think now everyone just has to sort of like come to an agreement that they're now part of the short-term and long-term equation in the NFL. The job the Pats did, Matt, between the draft and this free agency class, everybody that they had Robert Kraft open up the pocketbook and throw money at, and they spent the budget basically of a Transformers movie this offseason, and it's working. It's truly an unbelievable chemistry experiment, what's going on there. And to think that this is just the beginning of it all, oh, I'm so sorry, everyone. I am so sorry.
Where did Kyle Williams come from? This is where, if on my handicap, I'm looking at no Ramondre Stevenson and no Butte and he's been the binky for Drake Maye. And I'm going, okay, yes, Ramondre has dropped the football, but against a defensive line like they saw in Tampa, you need a bruiser of a back to pick up those short yardage situations. So I thought Stevenson being out was going to be pretty significant. We'll get to Trey Henderson in a second. But Kyle Williams with that 72-yard touchdown reception, like this guy, everyone's been waiting all year for this guy. He's been on the back of a milk carton. He hasn't done anything. And then when they need him to make a huge play, he's the guy that goes to the house for the wide receivers. Where did that come from?
Well, I mean, if you want to get into it, I mean, he's from Washington State. Everyone said he was one of the best. I know. So Kyle Williams needed to factor into the equation at some point because the Pats couldn't just have Tampa Bay's very aggressive, blitz-heavy defense as orchestrated by Todd Bowles just sitting from the middle part of the field in, daring the Patriots to go deep because, oh, your binky is gone and your bruiser back is gone, so we should be able to own everything within 15 yards of you guys. Kyle Williams and Travion Henderson factoring into the equation, introducing the threat of long touchdowns at any given moment was such an awesome development for the Patriots and the worst possible development yesterday for Tampa and then for all upcoming opponents because now Travion Henderson unlocked his Ohio State superpowers. Yeah. And the fact that he could go 55, 69 and have the wherewithal to be running down the field and look over like, hey, coach, should I take a knee or should I score? And Vrabel's like, get in there, you little handsome son of a bitch. Go ahead. Ohio State recognizes Ohio State. Buckeye, yeah. But as far as Kyle Williams goes, he only had 2 catches on the year. His third catch was pretty significant, and I like his yards per catch average on the rookie years thus far. But we all kept it. This guy's got the most unbelievable release package. Oh, if you can get this kid activated, he's a downfield threat at any given moment. I don't think people are making as much of a deal of what a great catch that was, let alone the fact that he was able to turn on the off shoulder, escape that guy, and then turn on the jets and run past everybody. I mean, if you give the best deep ball thrower in the NFL an auxiliary deep threat, so now he's got Booty with his precision route running and his great hands, and now you have the afterburners like you've got the SR-71 Blackbird and Kyle Williams that can just go Mach 3 like that in a heartbeat. Oh man, that was truly something, and that's when Tampa should have said yesterday, like, oh. So it's going to be like that today, huh? I guess we're going to take our top 10 pass defense and gag on it in front of you right now. And going into the game, Matt, I have the receipts. I have the tape. I mean, everyone does. It's 2025. I said the 2 guys that I thought were going to be most key to the Patriots yesterday were going to be Pop Douglas and Travion Henderson. Yeah. I thought Pop Douglas, just because of his short area quickness and the fact that he had recently found a comfortable role as what they're calling like the vertical slot, running a lot of those deep out and overs, which, Drake had found some connection with him on. And the previous week against Atlanta, they put him in the backfield and had him on a running back wheel route for a touchdown. It was gorgeous. But if they could get Henderson on the outside and open things up, that would get Tampa's defense back on its heels as opposed to on their toes in Drake's face, and give him some room to operate. And Henderson was beyond massive Sunday.
My coworker at Betting Pros, a guy named Debro, who's an analyst for us, takes a look at a lot of the projections and what's going to happen going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And he, before the game, said Travion Henderson is an absolute pickup, a must start, a guy you play in fantasy, a guy you play his prop bets. He's going to have a gigantic role in the Patriot offense going forward. Even without Ramondre's injury, he thought Henderson was going to be a huge weapon in the second half of the season for the Patriots. I wasn't so sure until obviously yesterday as to what happened with the game. Going forward, what do you think his role is going to be? Is he RB1 and he's going to be utilized the same way he was used against Tampa, which was in every which way possible? They wanted the football in his hands.
I think the best case scenario for what happens with Ramondre and Travion going forward, should Ramondre get over this toe injury, and it's the lamest name for an injury, but everyone who's ever suffered from it says it's the worst. Turf toe is just an absolute nightmare. And it's ended careers greater than anyone that is currently on the Patriots or the Buccaneers could have imagined. Joe Burrow was dealing with an extreme version of it, Brock Purdy, etc. If Ramondre is able to get back on the field and operate at 80 to 90% of what he was giving prior to the injury, minus the fumbleitis, I think your best case scenario is you see like a Sonic and Knuckles, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs usage, where you've got a hammer back for up the gut. And then now that you've seen Travion develop, like I said, unlock that confidence. Like when you saw him running yesterday, did that look like the same kid that was trying to tiptoe through his holes against Miami? Or just make sure, like, he watched his big bro Ramondre fumble against the Steelers. So there was trepidation and hesitation in his game as well. And yesterday, when he got a glimpse of daylight and just absolutely blasted through, calling him Timu Jahmyr Gibbs right now, like he's better than that, but like it's fine. Like that's what they need. That's what
right.
to be able to for Josh McDaniels to go into the offensive, playbook lab and be like, okay, so now I can hit Diggs here. I've got Matt Collins here. I got Booty this way. I can use Kyle Williams here. I got Ramondre up the gut. I got Travion on the outside. And they haven't even gotten him going on the quick screens, slip screens, wheel routes, and the other things that he was dynamic with at Ohio State last year when he had 1,100 yards, a 7-yard per carry, and double-digit touchdowns. That could be like, this could be the next something at a time when the league is going to have adequate tape on Josh McDaniels' offense 3.0, Drake Maye, and everything the Patriots are doing. Having those wrinkles like Kyle Williams and Travion pop on Sunday is a pain in everyone else's collective defensive ass and exactly what the Patriots needed.
The thing that almost bit them was the moment you talked about where Henderson's running free, no one within 10 yards of him, and he's turning around, he's looking at the sidelines, and he's asking, should I score or should I not? Drake Maye is behind him saying, go down, go down, go down. He didn't see Drake Maye. He saw the coaching staff said, go ahead and score. Well, they gave up a touchdown really quickly back the other way.
Sure did.
And then Stephon Diggs has to make a hell of a play on the onside kick in which he got lit up when he
got blasted.
He got cracked, and then he hangs onto the football.
It's going to be at least 3 weeks until he can father a child with another one.
That almost burned the Patriots. Like we would be sitting here, Fitzy, having a much different conversation if the Patriots had blown that game. It wasn't as locked up as we thought it was. That got hairy there for a second. Yeah.
So if Travion goes down, it finishes 21-16. The over doesn't hit.
Nope.
And then everyone's like, "Oh, son of a bitch! I had the Pats, and then I could have lost my fantasy matchup because there was that famous Todd Gurley. Remember, there was one years ago before they went to the Super Bowl to lose to the Pats, where he was streaking towards the end zone and he went down at the 1, and it cost people millions of trips to the fantasy playoffs and millions of dollars that would have been exchanged in Vegas and on the books, right? So there's that element of everything. If he takes a knee, though, that's ball game. They go into victory formation. The Bucs didn't have any timeouts. It's crazy how those things play. I think, again, one of the things Vrabel has made a big point of, Matt, has been saying hey, This is a victory. It's hard to win in the NFL. So I don't care if you win by 1 or you win by 100. We're going to celebrate this. I want you guys to appreciate that because there wasn't a whole lot of win in the last couple of years. And I'm not creating a culture of apology and insecurity. These are very confident guys that he loves up real good. But he always makes a point of talking about how important it is to divine the coachable moments, the teach-ups, and the corrections they need to make every week so they don't become repeat offenders. And considering that you've got so many rookies on this team, that they are such a young squad, and that they're all still probably trying to, get to know each other's name, or they're just now finally coming together as a team, considering that he flipped more than half the roster and stripped clean all the copper wiring from the house, aka all of the previous captains and leaders. It's really impressive the way that they've gelled. And he'll make a point of saying, like, all right, guys, if I let you score next time, can we cut the crap and not give up another touchdown in 13 seconds? Like, I have enough heart attacks putting this game plan together and surviving these wins every week.
Right. We'll end it with this. So Drake Maye wakes up this morning as the odds-on favorite to win the MVP, which is, I don't really know what to do with it. It feels laughable. It feels insane. But then I go and look at the schedule and look at what this team has the potential. And I see like one loss, definitely, maybe two losses, definitely. And this team is looking at a 13 win season at this point, just given the schedule as to who they're going to face with the Jets.
On autopilot.
Yeah.
On autopilot, they got 13 wins.
So can he win it? I mean, can Drake Maye win the MVP?
I mean, right now, your MVP candidates are legitimately, it's him, it's Jonathan Taylor, and
Mahomes.
Maybe, but like he's been
right,
good.
I agree. He hasn't been great. I agree.
He has 8 more games to go to prove that the things run through Kansas City are more important than that he's still the king until he's possibly dethroned. I know, and if you're going to come for the king, you best not miss. I'm full well aware.
If they don't win the division, I mean, Mahomes can't be the MVP if they don't win the West.
No, there are two other guys I would say that'll be a part of the MVP equation. Stafford, because he's playing out of his mind. Out of his mind. If there's anyone who should be peeing in a cup right now, it's Matthew Stafford. I don't understand what the hell that guy's doing. And the last one could be Lamar. Like, if they go on a run, like they're still the odds-on favorite to win the AFC North with a losing record. If they go on a run and he is positively Lamarvelous, they don't lose a game the rest of the way, and they beat the Patriots while Drake is good to very good, but Lamar is just peerless, he could possibly bully his way into the chat no matter how many times that he's won it before. And I want to start
fatigue though with that, Fitzy. Like,
I know, but
the voters are going to go, we see Lamar,
we want to go with
5 losses.
Something. I know, but
5 losses is, I mean, they're on the table. It's still 5 losses.
Show me a hot girl, and I'll show you a guy who's tired of having sex with her. I know. Show me a bunch of old panelists that and I'll show you a Lamar Jackson they're tired of voting for. I got you, but I do want to sort of like stitch Lamar and Drake together here at the end. You talk about, like, is it possible they win 12, 13, 14 games? And could Drake win MVP in his second year? And it's unheard of. Very few people have ever won the MVP in their first true full starting quarterback season as a sophomore in the NFL. The last one to do it, oddly enough, Lamar Jackson in 2019. And he and his very shallow depth, but hot, like I think they were 13-3 at the time. Baltimore Ravens got a bye and then had a Saturday home playoff game against Mike Vrabel's badass Tennessee Titans, who had depth, who had chips on their shoulders, and had previously the week before knocked off Tom Brady and sent him from his castle with his shitty black and white Hulu ad for his last regular season game in Gillette Stadium wearing a Patriots uniform.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, is there a chance the Patriots could win 13, 14 games, go to the playoffs, get a bye, and then have a home game against whatever the contemporary iteration is of Vrabel's 2019 Titans, like a team that comes in, doesn't give an F, plays bad. Like, it could very well be those same Ravens. It could be, I don't know, maybe it'd be the Chargers, maybe it'd be the Broncos. I don't know. But like, I love when these Patriots pass tests, when they hit little roadside marks, like can win on the road, tough enough, they withstood the injury of Ramondre and Booty, and 2 other guys stepped up. So far they're checking every box along the way, Matt. I know, like, I want to get nervous, but at the same time, dude, we're living with house money. Come on.
Agree. That's my point.
They
I
won
agree.
6 this century.
That's my point. And it's so funny because I got different fans in the media that I argue with, and one Dolphin fan in particular, about 3 weeks ago, he was saying, you Patriot fans, I got Patriot fans telling me that you guys are in the conversation for the 1 seed and you guys are delusional. And I went, how delusional is it if you look at the schedule? I mean, the schedule, they can be the 1 seed. If they play up to their capabilities, the Patriots, the entire playoffs could run through New England. And I'm not saying that that's going to be tough for a Bills or for a Ravens or a Chiefs, but it does feel like it does feel right, does it not? It feels like the universe has now been restored.
Oh no, order has been abundantly restored. Like you've been given back your favorite slippers. Somebody found your favorite jeans. You got your lucky coin in your pocket. You knocked the cats out of your favorite chair. Like everything is going the way it should be, perfectly balanced, just as it should be. And you look at the schedule of the Colts; they could easily have 3 or 4 losses the rest of the way. They went toe to wire yesterday, across the pond against the Falcons, who are also tough with you as well. There's a couple losses on the schedule for the Broncos. Like everything is lining up. And the Chiefs also have a tough schedule. So everything is lining up for the Patriots right now. But here's the thing: as a fan, don't be scared. Don't worry. Don't be freaking out. Like the team is in such good, competent hands, and this is just the beginning of what should be a long, nightmarish reign over the rest of the NFL. And it's like, Matt, every now and again, I'll go on social media. I don't know what you like to put on top of your ice cream when you eat it and no one else is looking at you because you're just like, oh, God, I'm so disgusting. But this makes me so happy. I like break up pretzels on mine and pour extra salt and caramel and just eat it like a filthy animal in a back alley whenever I want to just be ultimately decadent. And the equivalent to that is me going online every now and again and just basically engaging in sports schadenfreude porn. I look up Jets fans, Bills fans, and Dolphins fans that are like, damn it, they didn't have a quarterback for 3 years, and now they got Drake. This isn't fair. It's not fair, man. I thought this was supposed to be our time. Tuck it and suck it. Go Pats.
Amen. Fitzy, you're the best. Thanks for going on, man. Appreciate the time.
Always appreciate it. Long live the book. Love you, Dave. Matt, you're the best.
I have to unmute myself. Fitzy joining us here from WEEI. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that conversation. Always great to get him on. And I kind of learned something a little bit by doing that I actually can do that. We can tape interviews. So that was cool. We hadn't really done a pre-tape for an interview before to get him on the program because he obviously is on the air now on EEI. So I wanted to get him on talking everything happening, but with the Patriots. And look, you can hate on the Patriots all you want, and I'm here to listen to it because I think 8-2 is stunning, but they're really young and they're really good, and they have a 50-year-old head coach. Like Vrabel's 50, Drake Maye is 23. If it keeps going the way it's supposed to go, and going the way it's going now, Patriots aren't going anywhere. We had a really big story over the weekend that probably would have led most days if it wasn't for what happened on a Monday. But my goodness gracious, news of the industry, nuts. We have been following the Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz story involving the Guardians, for the Guardians since July, since the story came out, in which the investigation was revealed by Major League Baseball that 2 pitchers were being accused of pitch fixing. Now, what is pitch fixing? Essentially, there were micro markets, in which you could bet whether the first pitch of an inning was going to be a ball or a strike. Well, over the weekend, the investigation went from a Major League Baseball story to now a legal matter that is going to be a huge problem for both Luis Ortiz and for Emmanuel Clase. They both are facing up to 65 years in prison if they are convicted on all of their charges. That, according to the Eastern District of New York, it outlined the case against Clase and Ortiz, indicted them on fraud, conspiracy, and bribery charges. They were now being accused of wire fraud, of fraud conspiracy, 5 years imprisonment on the conspiracy to influence a sporting event contest by bribery, money laundering. Prosecutors are alleging that Ortiz was paid $5,000 for throwing an intentional ball in a game on June the 15th, and Class A was given $5,000 for facilitating it. They did it again, according to the indictment, on June 27th, and the payment for each of that pitch was $7,000 each. They made $5,000, and then they made $7,000. They were each making, in Ortiz's case, $760,000. Now, they are not Shohei Ohtani. They are not Mike Trout. These are not guys who are making millions and millions and millions. But they are Major League Baseball pitchers, and they were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and they decided to throw away their careers and or their freedom for $12,000. For $12,000. It is one of the most insane stories that you could come across, and I would not believe it if you had told me that this was going on. I probably would have told you that you're nuts. I probably would have disagreed that any Major League Baseball pitcher would do anything for $5,000. $5,000. That doesn't make any sense to anyone. Ortiz was arrested on Sunday at Boston's Logan International Airport. He was trying to get out of the country. He was trying to run from authorities, and they got him in Boston. According to authorities, they don't, as of this morning, have Class A in custody yet. Ortiz is expected to make his first appearance in federal court today before the case is moved to the Eastern District. Let me remind you about the federal government's record when it comes to indictments. It's like 98%. They don't lose. When they indict, they have you. They have you, and they know you are going to prison. I mean, this is unbelievable. Emmanuel Class A was set to make at least $38.1 million overall in his baseball career, and he threw it away for $12,000. I can't wrap my head around this. I'm not sure any sane person can wrap their head around this. That you were a Major League Baseball pitcher, you were performing at such and making at such a high level that you would be willing to entertain anything like this. That somebody would come and knock on your door and say, "Hey, we're going to give you $7,000. Just throw one ball for us." There's that side. The other side is the people who were able to get down and win $400,000 on the wagers. What exactly is that book or those books? What are they doing? Taking that level of action on that small of a market where gamblers could make $400,000 on a first pitch prop in one meaningless baseball game in the middle of the summer. And you're taking a handle of what? How many different bets came across your ticker before you went, we got a problem here, boss. You want me to approve all this? Now, there is a theory that the regulatory arm, the watchdog arm, would have been called in and said, take the bets, because we're going to track where the bets go. If the bet cashes, we'll then open an investigation. We're going to flag the wager, and thus we have to accept the wager, because if we don't, we won't know who these people are, and we won't know what players to investigate. So there is that theory on the other side that the reason why the bets went through was because they wanted those gamblers to be exposed. But there's also the theory is that after it won, that's in the retro, then people figured it out that there was something nefarious going on. Initially, they were just taking the wagers. Because how many other times did this happen? How many other players did this organization have under their thumb in which they just eventually got to Class A and they got to Ortiz? Were they doing it offshore and then they brought it onshore? The indictment details many games between May of 23 and June of 25, including the June 27th game against the Cardinals, in which Class A was paid $7,000 for arranging with Ortiz to throw one ball. Ortiz was paid $7,000. There was also a similar setup on June 15th against the Mariners, in which each player was paid $5,000. In addition, federal prosecutors revealed that before June 27th, Class A withdrew $50,000 from his bank account and provided $15,000 to his partners to bet on the Ortiz pitch. In total, prosecutors wrote that Class A provided enough information for his co-conspirators to win at least $60,000 on fraudulent pitches. It appears that due to the limited time frame of his involvement, Ortiz ultimately earned $12,000 for his involvement overall in the scheme. A scheme that got gamblers $400,000, at least $400,000 on that market. How many other times was this going on? How many other players were involved? How many other players have done this? Because if you think this has been going on a lot in the last couple of weeks, you're not alone. Our friend Ben Fox from Yahoo chronicling it. Chauncey Billups, Tara Rozier, Damon Jones arrested after the FBI indictment. The UFC is in a huge investigation with the FBI. And now Class A and Ortiz indicted for pitch rigging. And 6 players have been found to manipulate college basketball games for their performances for betting purposes in the 2024 and 25 season. Their eligibility being revoked, and we'll see if the authorities are going to push it even farther. You would not be alone to feel like we are constantly having these conversations about what is happening around professional sports. It is somewhat stunning. I'm not going to deny it, that it is a story in which we don't want to be talking about this type of story. Nobody does. Nobody wants to be having a conversation about whether or not sports are on the up and up. And you can spin this two ways. That legalization is why we have these investigations, and legalization is why we found this out. And I am on that side. That's where my opinion lies. But I also understand where if you were on the negative side of PASPA, if you were on the anti of gambling and you don't want sports betting to be legalized across the country, that you look at stories like this and you have ammunition to then go public and say, we must make this illegal again. I don't think that's the right move, but I do think there needs to be some type of guardrails being put into place. And we have seen it in the last 2 months where there are politicians who are starting to write bills that are going to reel in the wild, wild nature of sports betting. And I do anticipate that we're going to see micro markets like this case involving Class A and involving Ortiz, that this case in particular, this type of betting will be banned. I don't believe you're going to be able to bet on an individual pitch in America in the near future. Offshore, I think it'll always be legal offshore to be able to do it. But I do think in the wake of this, I do think that there's going to be a bill federally, if not federally, state by statewide, to eliminate that market. And I have been on board with that. I've said it publicly. I am okay with eliminating the micro market. If one player can be gotten to, and if that one player can influence the entire market, that market should go away. It should not be allowed to be bet on because you can't influence it. On top of the fact, and this is kind of the equal practice situation, you cannot tell a book how to run its business, but how in the world are you taking 5-figure, let alone 6-figure bets on one pitch? Like, what is that? Like 50,000, 60,000, 10,000, whatever it might be. I mean, that limit should be $100. Like, you simply should not have a major limit. You should not be able to get down a ton of money on a single pitch. It's crazy. So the fact that those books got beaten, if they did not know ahead of time and they got beat in the retro and they have been beaten before, you get what you deserve. You want to take a $50,000 bet on one pitch and you lose, that's on you. As a book, that's on you. That's irresponsible bookmaking, okay? Those limits should be tiny. 10, 25, 50 buck, $100 limits tops. The rest of it, it's on you if you're taking wagers of that size. We will continue this conversation on the other side in bonus time. If you're watching live on YouTube or X or listening on the audio podcast, if you're watching the replay on Sports Grid Television, thank you for being here. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll talk more about the NFL week and recap Eagles and the Packers. If you want that bet for tonight, go ahead and you can go back and watch it on the YouTube at Boston versus the book. Bonus time starts now. The whole bet sponsored by Come and Go. Yeah. I mean, it is big business, Joel. I would agree. But the problem with whole betting on the same situation, it's a little bit different with golf. Okay. So let's just play it out for a second, right? So golf, you're in the middle of a round. You come up on the 13th hole and you're going to make a bogey. Like, hey, I'm paying you to make a bogey on 13. It can 100% be done. Like, you can get to a pro golfer and you can have that pro golfer throw it. Yes. I mean, if you had told me that a Major League Baseball pitcher who is expected to make nearly $40 million over their entire baseball career would throw away their freedom for $12,000, I would have told you you're nuts. But this case clearly shows that some people just are greedy and they aren't smart about what they're doing with their money or their time. So that's a huge problem. So can a golfer be gotten to? Absolutely. But again, how much handle are you doing on that market, and how big are the limits that you're willing to take? I would say those limits are tiny. You know, go back to what Dave used to say about prop betting, that if you were able to take away a bunch of the markets, the books would be comfortable losing most of the prop markets, because most of those gigantic menus you see on DraftKings and FanDuel and Caesars and BetMGM, people aren't betting into those markets. The handles are microscopic. It's nothing. Now, anytime touchdown, first touchdown, yardage for running backs or for quarterbacks, over under on outs or strikeouts for pitchers. Like, there are some markets that do significant handle and that gamblers would be very upset about if they weren't able to bet on it. And I don't think you should eliminate all prop betting, because technically anything outside of a side or total is a prop bet. So I don't think that's an intelligent thing to do, because it would just we'll go to the black market, and offshore would be in love with it because everybody would bet offshore again. So that, I think, would be a mistake. But I do think there needs to be some reeling in on which types of individual markets you're allowed to bet on. And I do think we're going to see states, there's a bill, like I mentioned, in New Jersey, or is it New York? It's one of the two, where they're going to eliminate micro betting. And I'm okay with that. You can take down micro betting. I have no issue with trying to make it safer and trying to get rid of stories like this and make it impossible for these types of stories, because this is going to lead towards all of the negativity around sports gambling. So we have to be careful. And I'm willing to give up certain markets in order for us to have sports betting. Sorry. So it sucks. I mean, this is a horrible story. And these guys did it. Like, I'm not even going to try to defend what they did, because again, this is the Eastern District of New York. Like, these guys don't miss. Okay. Like, this is when they come and knock on your door, you're going to prison. It's just a matter of how long. 65 years. Do I think they'll serve 65 years? No, I do not. But I do think they're getting convicted, and I do think they're going to serve jail time. They're going to be banned for life for baseball. And if you're a Guardian fan, you just lost your all-star closer and your number 2 starter. That hurts. Like, that is not good. Now, the team was really good down the stretch, even without Ortiz and without Class A, but you're never getting those guys back. Those guys will never play baseball again. They'll never play a pro sport ever again. And they're going to be lucky to get out to, like, retirement age. They're going to be lucky if they get the book thrown at them, which might happen. So this puts everybody on notice. They are making an example of these guys to tell everyone in baseball that if you do this, this is what happens to you. But I think there's going to be a lot of things going on from Dude Love. Matt, agree with Matt's stance on micro betting. College props shouldn't be bettable either. One of those few times Matt's making sense. Thanks, dude. Look, I don't mind prop betting for college. Okay. It's how big is the market? How big is the menu rather? I don't mind certain markets. Like I don't mind anytime touchdown for a college player. I don't mind passing. I don't mind, touchdown tosses. I don't mind things that are somewhat in the flow of the game that somebody else has to do something. The way the language is written, I've read a couple of different stories about the micro betting bill, is that basically if you need somebody else to do something, then that market can be allowed. So like if I'm throwing a touchdown, someone has to catch that touchdown. So it's not just on me. If I'm running the ball behind the offensive line, they've got to block the defense for me to score. Like somebody has to do something else. The quarterback has to choose to throw me the football for me to catch the ball to score a touchdown. So it has to involve something else. Somebody else on the playing surface must be involved. Now there is, if I was a lawyer, I'm not, but if I was, I could say, well, an umpire has to call it a ball. And there's an excerpt from the indictment from Class A where he's texting with one of the gamblers and he was supposed to throw a ball to start his outing. And he threw a splitter in the dirt. And I forget which, I think it was Justin Tucker or Justin Turner rather. The batter swung at the ball and caused it to be a strike. He missed. And so the gambler sent a text with an emoji of a noose to like hang myself to Class A. And he responded with a poop emoji, I think it was, that as it said. He came back with that. So like he was trying to throw it in the dirt. He was trying to bounce it and the batter just swung. So that might be that might. Oh, it was Pius. Okay. Thank you, JC. It was Pi who did it. So like, that's where, yeah, it has to be 2-person action. It has to be a 2-person thing for you to be able to make a gamble, to make a bet on it. And I'm okay with that. Like if we come up with the language of that to say like, hey, you can't just have one person. It has to have some other impact. Like something else has to happen. Some other human being must be involved in the action for you to be able to bet on it, to eliminate the ability to have one player, one person be the influencer that can change the whole market. I mean, again, balls and strikes, the 95 mile per hour over under markets, like all of those bets, you can have them. Like we don't need those things to be for sports betting to be legal. We don't need those things to be there for us to be able to do that. So yeah, there's a lot of ambiguity with all of it, Dom. I mean, that's why it's all legal right now. It's legal because no one knows how to exactly word this to make it happen. But again, micro betting, the minor markets, if we need to give those up and have some language in some form or fashion that makes us all understand what is legal and what is not from a prop betting perspective, in order for all of us to continue on in the sports betting world. Remember, more than half of all America, population-wise, more than half of the country live in a state which sports betting is not legal. Okay? We have not even come close to maturity for the sports gambling markets. This is the whole Cauchy situation, the whole Florida, Texas, California, Cauchy situation. So I think that's the problem when it comes down to what sports gambling is going through. We are still learning. We are still in, our training wheels are still on. So we have to be willing to, smooth these things out before we get to the full maturity of the market. Think about how prevalent sports betting is right now in advertising and just in our daily lives, right? How often you see stuff for sports gambling. Remember, again, more than half of the American population does not have access to a legal sports book in the state in which they live. So that's pretty huge. Zach the Hat, lawyer here, who agrees with all of this. If I was a lawyer for the other side, I would say the ball strike is a 2-player betting because the batter could swing and throw the bet into a strike. That's true. And that's what happened. That's true. So there needs to be some type of language, or maybe you just straight up say you cannot bet on the following things. You can't bet on the first pitch. You can't of an inning. You can't bet on the speed of a pitch. Like just straight up lay it out. Like forget making it in the gray area. Make it go black and white. Like go through every sport and determine what should be legal and what should not be legal. And don't leave it up to the lawyers. Just spell it out. The micro market of ball strike from a pitcher is illegal. Now, will that market show up offshore? Yes. Is that a problem? No. Let them deal with that. Okay. Why? Because they've got 100 years of experience. They know what to watch for, right? And when you screw over those guys, they got ways to fix it. Okay. You want to fuck over the guys in Costa Rica? Be my guest. Okay. Be my guest. There's a reason why this stuff is happening in America, guys. Remember this. Okay. There's a reason why these syndicates are doing this in the legalized sports betting marketplace here, because they've already tried it offshore and gotten caught. And chances are people showed up at their front door and found out who they were. Okay. These guys, this is why whenever you've seen the conversation around sports gambling, you've seen everyone say, oh, those guys offshore, they do it really shady, right? Those guys make people disappear. Because in history, I'm not saying it happens a lot, but in history, yes, that happens because you're in countries in which they don't have a police force paying attention to any of it because they don't care. So, like, if you're in the Cayman Islands, okay, and you're running a book in the Cayman Islands and somebody robs you for $100,000 and you know where they are, you know who they are, you find a way to make them not your problem anymore. Okay. Legalized sports books don't do that. There's no repercussions besides this, which is the Eastern District of New York. Okay. Which takes a long time, which they have to find you. And Ortiz was caught at the airport in Boston trying to get the fuck out of Dodge. He was trying to run. They don't know where Class A is. So Class A may have gotten out. Ortiz may have tried to get out, should have flown private. Maybe Class A flew private and was like, peace, I'm out of here. Okay. So like, that's the problem. Leave it to those guys. Okay. If there's issues with cheating that goes on, the street will figure it out. The street might be the globe, but the street will figure it out. Okay. The street will find it and make it go and make it okay. I only have one bet for tonight to talk about on Monday Night Football. It is time for just the picks. It's being brought to you by the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. You guys can go check out the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet for tonight's Monday Night Football game. NFL prop bets are available, the best value plays every day. You get daily prop bet value rankings based on their projections. Find the best props for all major passing, rushing, and receiving stat categories for tonight's Monday Night Football game. You can use it now at bettingpros.com/props or by going and downloading the Betting Pros app where you guys get your apps, bettingpros.com/props or on the Betting Pros app. I am taking the Eagles to win this game coming up here tonight. I'll take the +1 just for the heck of it. But when you look at the Eagles and where off of a bye, what Jalen Hurts has done in these moments, in these situations, the trends are all positive. The Packers losing last week to the Carolina Panthers at home. And you could say, well, they were overlooking the Panthers. They're looking ahead to the Eagles. I had the Eagles off a bye with a team coached by Matt LaFleur that when they get to November, the Packers are a fade most often. It's why I never bet them to win the Super Bowl, okay? Because I loved the Packers in September. I loved them in October. And I said, look, if they win big games in the month of November and December, I will bet the Packers to win the Super Bowl because I love what they look like on paper. I love the Micah Parsons trade. I love what they've done with the running attack with Josh Jacobs. I love that, that Jordan Love is playing at an extremely high level. The Matthew Golden addition, he has a shoulder injury, which really has limited him, unfortunately. But like him being drafted and having him hopefully healthy for the playoffs will be huge. So they have all the things on paper that would make you say the Packers are a legitimate threat to the Eagles in the NFC. But I look at the Eagles, no, I don't think I'm going to fade them. Even with the Saquon Barkley situation, I think the bye week's going to be huge for them to get right, to get Saquon right, to get their offensive line healthy, to get Jalen Hurts on the same page as A.J. Brown, to get him on the same page as his tight ends. I just think coming out of the bye week, even though it's on the road at Lambeau Field, I like Hurts in primetime. I like the Eagles in primetime, and I don't like what I've seen out of the Packers, and it's a short number. Going to go ahead and take +1 on the Eagles tonight to get a W on Monday Night Football. If you want a prop bet, I'll give you one option that you can fire on if you want. You can bet this if you want, but I think Josh Jacobs receiving and rushing goes under 90.5 tonight. The number last night was 90.5. I think it goes under tonight. Why? I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball that well. And Josh Jacobs hasn't done well against good defenses. He's put up big numbers against bad defenses, but against good defenses, he has not performed well this season. His numbers have been very muted and down against the best defenses that he has faced so far. I think you're going under 90.5 rushing and receiving yards tonight for Josh Jacobs. I think we have a big game coming up here for the Eagles. I don't know about the total. I don't know what to make of the total tonight. I think it's going to be a relatively low scoring game, but I don't know. For me, I think it's easy just to go ahead and take the Eagles to win this game. Money line Eagles to win coming up here for today. Time for my favorite thing about today. Where is that? Hold on. Where did that go? Oh, there it is. All right. I never like when someone gets fired. I'm not saying that my favorite thing about today is this, but it is rewarding in some ways when people tell me that I'm an idiot. Happens a lot. Giant fans were all mad. Giants fans were all crazy. I said Brian Daboll wouldn't last to Thanksgiving. He'd be done. Team would go under 5.5 wins. He'd be fired by Thanksgiving. And everybody said, "Oh my God, what are you talking about? Have you seen what has happened here going on with this defense for the Giants? How can you?" They have 2 wins. They've had a 10-point lead or more in 3 road games in a row, and they've lost them all, including an epic collapse against the Broncos. Okay. Every now and then we get it right. Every now and then. One final question from Ish. Of course, Louisville, Kentucky, and Creighton, Gonzaga. Of course. Tomorrow's college basketball. The games stink tonight. There's nothing really great about college hoops tonight. Tomorrow, though, tomorrow's a college football day. Tomorrow, we will be joined. We're going to talk hockey tomorrow. So hockey's going to be fun tomorrow. So we'll get into hockey. Let me just confirm that we are doing hockey tomorrow, because I think we had put in a conversation, and we are Casey Hudson. We are doing it tomorrow. Casey Hudson joins us tomorrow from Nesson. So we'll get Casey on talking hockey tomorrow. So college basketball and hockey tomorrow. We'll recap the Monday Night Football game quickly, but it will be a lot of hockey. We will do my power ratings, my top 5 teams in the NFL tomorrow. We'll do that. There has been a big shakeup in that top 5, so we'll do that tomorrow on the program. Casey Hudson from Nesson joined us tomorrow, so we'll do hockey, and then we'll go heavy into college basketball. Big games tomorrow: Creighton, Gonzaga, Louisville, Kentucky. Good stuff tomorrow for college basketball. My thanks to our friend Fitzy from WEEI for stopping by today. That was a lot of fun talking Patriots football with him. If you guys haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. We're close. So if you haven't hit subscribe yet to our YouTube channel, please go and do that. We would really appreciate it. Leave a comment if you're watching on the replay. Go ahead and leave a comment as well. That helps the whole algorithm thing as we try to pick up some more speed here as we head towards the end of the season. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow, back for a Tuesday's BVB.